I guess talk a little bit about what it means to you. I mean, it's a long road to being a senior, and to be selected as one of three captains is quite an honor.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Like you said, it's a great honor. I feel honored that my teammates, selected me to be the team captain. And obviously I don't take it lightly. Like, I want to be, everything they see in me. I want to, continue that and just try and help lead this team and continue the success that we had last year.
Do you feel that you, Cameron, and Jackson have a nice rapport and can work well as captains together?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we've been together since plebe year, since they didn't go to Naps with me, but like, we're all really good friends, and I respect them just as much as, the rest of the team respects them. So I think that we have a good dynamic, and that we'll be able to, figure things out and lead the team to the best of our ability.
Jackson was telling us yesterday about the motto of kind of pay the rent or whatever it was. Can you kind of talk about what that means to you, Billy?
So to me, I mean, especially like for an offensive lineman, obviously the rent being due, every day you got to come and go to work and build up those, every day we pay rent and pay rent and pay rent. And then at the end of the week, we get the goal, or the reward of playing in a football game. And the goal is to win that. In order to win, you got to have built up enough rent to, pay it all off. And so every day come to work, grind it out. And then hopefully we've done enough that at the end of the week, we can pull out a win.
Last for me for now, last season was the offensive line was just spectacular. I mean, if you look at the numbers and the rushing yardage, you'd have to say it was one of the best offensive lines in triple option era. That's a high bar to try to meet. I know you want to push this group to try their best to do as well, but can you kind of just talk about that, Billy, and your responsibility for trying to help develop this offensive line to a level that it clears the way for as much yardage as you gained last season?
Yeah. So obviously I'll say that last year's offensive line was definitely the best. It wasn't because of, me or anything, and obviously having Malcolm and all the guys, all the A-backs, our A-backs are so deep, especially, last year. Those guys definitely made our job easy, and the fullbacks. But, guys like Dave and Kenny and Ford, I mean, they're hard to replace, just as hard as it is to replace Malcolm. But, I think that when the season gets going, once we get some games and stuff, obviously, because I remember my first game, and my first game was against Holy Cross, whereas these guys, the guys who have never started a football game, they have to come in and start against a very good opponent in BYU. So I know the nerves are going to be there, and it's going to take, maybe a couple weeks for them to get that confidence about them. But hopefully, I can help them, understand the pace of the game and find that confidence a little bit sooner, hopefully. And then hopefully we can try and match that success from last year. Obviously, like you said, it's going to be extremely difficult, but the guys that we have, especially, from the beginning of camp to now not having spring to work on that. I've seen the young guys like Nick Bernacchi and Pierce and Luca and Kurt and Sean, like they've all really, I've seen a lot of growth from them over just the past couple weeks. So that's really encouraging. And I would say that Coach Ingram and Coach O'Rourke would say the same thing. Obviously, we still make mistakes. I mean, you're never going to be perfect when it comes down to football. Football is a super hard game to play, but I think we definitely have the pieces to, find success.
Go ahead, John.
Thanks, Travis. Hey, Billy, John Schofield from Sing Second Sports Podcast. So one of the responsibilities incumbent on the captain, or the tri-captains, but you being one of them, is to help with team chemistry. Can you talk a little bit about how hard the chemistry has been, being that you were all apart and at home for the second semester last year? It was a summer kind of unlike any other, no summer cruises. And now a very unique school year. How is the chemistry on the team with all of these new variables, and what what kind of tools do you have in your tool bag that you plan to utilize as a captain in order to keep everyone on the same page and focused?
I think the unique thing about playing at the service academies is that usually it's older guys who actually end up playing. A lot of young guys don't get the opportunity just because it's so much work to try and balance everything that we go through at school, and then especially on offense, learning the offense and actually having a good enough understanding to actually play. So the advantage we have there is that all the first class have been together for a long time, and now we've been with the second class for going on 3 years. So we all have really good relationships together. But I would say, that Coach Niemont did a good job of planning like the Google Meets and all that stuff. So we had interactions all summer. And then we've been back for a while, and obviously out on the field, we're able to interact with each other. So I don't worry too much about that per se. But I guess for me, ways that I can help that is just kind of, when we are together, just trying to find ways and working with the other captains and trying to plan ways that we can have bonding moments together and stuff. Like on the weekends when we have little events with the team together, or when after practice, like coaches try to create a little bit of a locker room environment. Like after practice, we just hang out on the field. Obviously it doesn't match, that in locker room environment, because that's one of the best things about playing football, is just having the guys in the locker room cracking jokes and stuff. But I think that we're creating ways to create that bonding environment on the team.
Nice. Quick follow-up, going from that to kind of a more tactical focus of the game. You probably spend a lot of the offseason getting ready or mentally for Notre Dame. You find out a little late in the game that it's BYU, and now you've got to kind of study up and get ready for, what's presumably a 4-man front. Tonga, El Bakri, Zach Daw, what can you say about like the D line for BYU that you're going to face on Monday night that kind of catches your attention? What are you guys going to need to focus on? What's your focus going in based on, how big and athletic that front four is going to be?
Right. So, I mean, the thing that I've learned here, especially, over the course of last year, is that going into the games, we guess a lot about what they're going to do. And then a lot of times they don't end up doing what we think they're going to do. So we just that's the good thing about us actually knowing our rules and our responsibilities. And then once we go into the game, the play gets called and we just carry out what we're supposed to do. As for the defensive line, I mean, it's the same thing that we're going to face every week. We're undersized. We're going to be slower, maybe weaker, so we know they're really big guys. They're going to be fast. They're going to be strong. So for us, it's just about carrying out, what we're coached to do every single day, getting our second step down, tight hands, punching. So as long as we execute the way that we're coached to execute, the rest will take care of itself.
Definitely. Last question, if I can. Unique game in that the brigade's not going to be in there. I'm sure you've been hearing from your classmates about them not being able to attend the game. What message do you have for the brigade for how they can support you leading up to this very unique experience where they're not going to be able to be there, and you're going to be playing in a pretty quiet stadium?
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be very strange. Nothing that, I've really experienced. I guess I have experienced a little bit at Naps. We didn't really play in front of anybody, but coming from Texas, every week we were playing in front of big crowds, and then every week, here at Navy, there's a big crowd. So it's going to be weird for us, but as far as the brigade helping us, obviously, it's going to be nationally televised. It's going to be on ESPN, so they can all tune in. But then before the game, and they see their football friends walk and just wish them luck, and let them know that they're going to be watching it. They're going to be rooting for us. But I think it's definitely going to be weird. It's going to be different. Because one of the best things about football is, breaking that long run and hearing the crowd erupt. So we're going to be missing that aspect, but BYU's also missing it. So it's just about us bringing our own energy and bringing our own juice and getting the job done.
Thanks, Billy. Go get him Monday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Phil Bergman.
Hey, Billy. We were talking with Jackson yesterday, and he called you a no-nonsense type of leader. Do you like that mantra, and what is it about your leadership style that you really like?
I mean, I like to think that, I guess on the field, I guess I'm a little bit more serious. I like to think that, you know, I have a fun personality outside of football, but obviously, like, when it comes down to going to work, you know, I like to be serious and, you know, get the job done and then have fun later. You know, I'd rather be out on the field and, you know, fight for 60 minutes and win and then go in the locker room and be able to celebrate. But as far as like my leadership style, like, it's not perfect. I don't think anybody is. You know, there's a lot of things I need to work on. So I just need to find ways to, you know, when we make a mistake, try and reinforce to the guys, you know, that, you know, we made this mistake and this is how we need to fix it. And, you know, that when, you know, remind the team that when we make a mistake, everybody suffers, especially on offense. You know, we can't be putting balls on the ground, dropping passes and stuff. But then, you know, the same goes for us as an offensive line. Just because, you know, the receiver drops a pass or something, we still on the offensive line need to hold our blocks and, you know, give the quarterback time to deliver a good ball. So, you know, just I think that the important thing is, as a leader, is to make sure that I'm not, you know, just throwing blame out there. You know, I need to be able to accept responsibility on my end as well. So that's something I need to work on, obviously, you know. So every day is a new learning opportunity for me and the other captains. So.
And college football fans across the country are itching for the sport to be back. And come Monday, Navy's going to be the only game on TV. Are you ready for that spotlight and have the entire U.S. and world watching you guys?
Yeah, I think that's an exciting opportunity for, you know, everybody on this football team. Obviously, we get it. Army Navy's the only game on TV every season. So I think this is a little bit different. You know, it's not our Super Bowl like Army Navy is, but I mean, for us to be opening the season, our very first game is the only one on TV on a Monday night. It's all special stuff, and especially be facing BYU, a team we've never gotten to play as a team here. So I would say everyone is super excited about it. It'd be a lot cooler if, you know, the stadium was sold out and, you know, we were playing in front of a huge crowd, but obviously there will be a huge crowd at home watching it, given that it's on ESPN. So we're all super excited about that.
Thank you.
Billy, I think an important move here is Justin Self shifting over to center to replace Ford. That's a big shoes to fill, and I think the coaching staff did that partly because they think Justin's personality fits well with what they look for out of a center. Can you talk about how Justin's, you know, adjusting to the new position, and, you know, is he ready to anchor that interior of the line?
Yeah, Justin's a great football player. Like last year, I mean, he rolled in with Kenny and I at tackle. And I mean, he's a guy who could have started a tackle on this football team. Like, he could have easily been the left tackle this year or right tackle taking my job. But when we were at Naps, he actually played center for us there and did a great job. Like, Justin's a great football player. And I think, you know, personality-wise, nobody has Ford's personality. But what he has in common with Ford is the way he plays. Like, he's one of those guys that's 100 miles an hour all the time, great motor, and he's one of those guys that doesn't get satisfied with things. He's always working to be better, and that's what, you know, I think a lot of us respect about Justin. Day in and day out, he's going to come in and he's going to work, and I think he'll do great at center, and I think he's a great piece for us of creating that success, you know, that I was talking about earlier. I think he'll be huge in that role.
I think a key to last year's offensive line success was the way you and Nesterwitz developed on that right side. I think people knew going in that Kendall and Forney on the left were going to be a good combination. They had been together a while. They had good chemistry. They were good friends. But you and Nesterwitz developed a nice chemistry on the other side. Can you just talk about that? And I would imagine now after playing side by side for an entire season, you're ready to take it to another level, the two of you.
Absolutely. I mean, and that was the same for us. Like, you know, the media talked about it and all that. And then, but we knew it too, Peter and I, like we knew that we had to somehow create the same thing that Kenny and Dave had. And obviously, like those two were great football players too. Dave, you know, was, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman we had on the line last year. And still, in my opinion, is. But I think that, you know, I was the one that kind of probably slowed down that, you know, the development of the two of us just due to my lack of experience. I couldn't play as well as Peter early on. And then, like, going back and watching the film from Holy Cross and ECU, like, I hate when Coach brings up that film because I hate watching myself in those games because it wasn't there. It came over the season. We got better. But I think as the season went on, I was able to learn a lot more, learn the technique better, and then eventually got to, you know, Peter's level where then we could both grow together and create that same energy that, you know, Kenny and Dave had on the left side. But and then as far as taking it to the next level this season, I mean, obviously that's the goal. You know, we want to be the guys that are the energy on the offensive line, the strength, and, you know, give those other guys, you know, something to look at and try to model themselves after. So that's the ultimate goal for the two of us, I would say.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
John,
Thank
any
you.
follow-up on your end? John Schofield?
I'll do a quick one if Billy doesn't mind. So Billy, obviously, you know, a really interesting academic semester facing you, going online, you know, that managing the academics on top of the athletics at the Naval Academy, I believe is unlike any other institution or program in the country. You know, how has it gone so far in the hall, trying to manage the academics with kind of the new normal going on?
Yeah, it's definitely extremely weird. It's hard, you know, to sit here and stay focused. Obviously, I'm sure that any student across the country is experiencing, you know, the difficulty of that. But I mean, the expectations for us to still perform in class are there. So I think guys understand that, and that's going to keep them motivated to perform well in class. I think everyone would say I'd personally rather be in class than online, but I think that the biggest thing is just, you know, making the right decisions, making sure you're doing your work, doing your own work and all that. So that's something that we have to, you know, we as captains and stuff have to pass on to the other guys that, you know, we need to be making sure that we're doing the right thing when it comes to this online climate.
Yeah. Last question from me. When you get to November, what are you hoping to see when it comes to service assignment?
Yeah, I'm hoping that I get Marine ground. That's really the only thing I wanted to do. I showed up at NAPS and one of the first like training evolutions we did, they took us over to the DC trainer and they were teaching us like how to prevent the ship from sinking. And I was like, well, I don't really want to be on a ship if they need to teach me how to keep it afloat. So I want to keep my feet on the ground as much as possible.
Come on, that's where all the fun is, Billy.
No. But I've fallen in love with the Marine Corps culture. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Ashley, why don't you kind of bring us up to date on what's happening on the left side of the line? I mean, you're pretty close to the opener, so I'd imagine you made some decisions. Are you able to announce to us who the starters will be at left tackle and left guard?
Left tackle, we're going to start Luca Fratiani, who's a junior from the Los Angeles area. Been super excited about him for a long time. Has had a great camp. He's super athletic. Has done all the things that we hoped he would do. Kurt Stengel, who's a senior, will play some, so we'll rotate some guys in there, but he'll play some left tackle. He's had a nice camp as well. Right now, left guard's probably still up in there. Sean Ratty was in the lead. Had a little injury, missed a day or two. Nick Bernacki has done a great job for us. So we're just trying to let that one play out as we go. But we're really excited about both of those guys and what they bring to the table.
Is Stengel a guy that can flip-flop and maybe back up Fratiani and Billy?
Yeah, that's what we've started doing since we've decided to go with Luca. We've started shuffling Kurt both sides, and he's done that throughout his whole career. So he's played both sides, so that's nothing new to him.
And so Luca's strengths are he's real athletic. I mean, is he a physical kid or what? I think I've heard you say he's a high energy guy or something like that.
Yeah, he's physical. He's athletic. He plays really hard. Well, we're excited about him. There's some Ford Higgins traits about him and things like that. So now we got to see it on the field on a Saturday or a Monday, I guess. But hopefully that'll happen.
How would you compare and contrast Ratty and Bernacchi?
Similar. Ratty maybe has a little more experience because he's been here a year longer. And then Nick Bernacchi is a little bigger kid. He's got some talent, really, really smart. Both of them are smart kids, dependable kids. So I feel good about whoever's in the football game.
Can you talk about how Justin Self is adjusting to playing center, and are you even pleased with where he's at?
Yeah, he's doing well. Obviously, he's going to have his hands full with their big nose on Monday night. But he's had a really nice camp. He's playing really well. We're excited about him. Pierce Banbury behind him is doing some great things too, and we're letting Pierce play a little guard as well. Big strong kid, and then behind him, Luke Coleman is doing a nice job as well. So we're pleased with the depth there at center, but pleased with what Justin's doing so far.
I think Coach Niemot had talked about the physicality BYU brings on both sides of the line. Do you think it's going to be a challenge to run the ball against that defensive front?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're really good. They've got great size. Obviously, they've got probably an NFL interior D lineman. So we've got our work cut out for us, but at the same time, we're excited for the challenge. So we're fired up to go.
That's good for me for now.
Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. Bill Bergman.
Hey, Coach, I've just been asking, going back to Army Navy and the Liberty Bowl, it's now going to be 3 straight games on national TV. Just this type of exposure for the Navy program, this can only help in recruiting and just attracting eyes to the program from all across the country.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, I've been here, this will be 13 years, and Scott could correct me, but I don't know if we've played a game that was not televised in that time. But
Correct.
Is that correct, Scott?
Yeah. 2007, North Texas was the last time we weren't on TV.
Right. So, but these are primetime spots, and playing a premier program like BYU on ESPN, probably the first premier football game of the season is obviously great for us. The K-State game, obviously was a big one to beat a Power 5 school on that setting. And then obviously the Army-Navy game always provides a lot of notoriety. But yeah, we're super we're super excited about the opportunity to kind of show what the Naval Academy is all about.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Taylor Decker, do you have anything?
No questions right now.
Okay. Wags, any follow-ups?
Yes. So just the run game in general, you're the running game coordinator. I mean, where do you feel like you are? I know that it's hard to gauge when you haven't been able to have live contact, good against good, as much as you might want to. But, I mean, do you sense is the timing there? Or, giving the ball to the fullback and making the pitches, all that? Does it look like things are running smoothly, Ashley?
I think so. We got the same top B-backs back. 3 of our offensive linemen have been starters or played a lot of football, so we feel good about that. The quarterbacks if Dalen's a starter, and it appears that he will be, he's a senior, so he's been through the system. We've got a lot of experience back at those A-backs. We've got more experience in wide out, and they obviously play a big part in our run game as well. So there's no reason to believe that we're not ready to go. But as a coach, I'm glad it's Wednesday before the Monday game, and we still have some time to kind of clean some things up and keep working. But yeah, I think we're pleased with where things are right now.
And Billy Honaker was named a captain. I think he's a guy didn't start until Holy Cross last season, and so in 1 year he had clearly earned the respect of his teammates. Were you surprised to see Billy be named captain?
I don't think I was surprised at all. He, he's always been a leader, and the way Billy leads is he leads by example. He has taken on a more vocal role since he was elected captain, but he's just one of those young men that's all in. It's all about the team. He's a guy that constantly tries to get better. He works out there today as hard as he's ever worked. So there's no patting himself on the back, or he doesn't feel like he's arrived. He's one of those young men that I still think his best football is ahead of him. So we're excited about that. But no surprises whatsoever that he was named captain. And if he weren't named captain, I probably would have been more surprised, to be honest with you.
So when you were talking about backups, and I guess you mentioned Pierce Banbury and whoever does not win that left guard spot are going to be, and they would play on the right side, backing up Peter if necessary. Either of those two guys.
I think right now, if we had to do it, I think I'd play Bryce Teixeira over at the right guard. He's the backup right guard, and he's done a nice job. And like I said, I think we have, more solid depth than we've had in a while. I mean, I think we can go really 4 strong at guard, 2, potentially 3 deep at center, and feel really good about it. And Sean Ratty was even a backup center last year. So, there's even this other element where we got 4 centers. If you have catastrophic, football, anything can happen. So we always like to obviously plan for everything. And then we've got, 3 tackles that have played a lot of football. We've got a sophomore as the 4th tackle that is kind of working and progressing, Kip Franklin. So, yeah, we feel like we have some depth.
Well, Billy was talking when we spoke to him earlier today about the challenge of trying to, that was a high bar set last season with what that unit did. And, it's got to be one of the best in Navy history just based off the numbers when you're talking about one of the best rushing. I think was it a record, Strauss? Record for rushing yardage average?
Yes, it was.
Well, that says it all. I mean, you can't have a unit that's, coming out and learning together and building together and expect them to be at that level. But I guess that's what you strive for, Ashley?
Right. Yeah, there's no doubt that's what you strive for. And I think Danny would say this, and Coach Nehemiah, and Coach Jasper, but we have super high expectations for this group. And I think they're going to play fast. I think they're going to play hard. I think they're all in. I think there's a lot of the same qualities that we had last year that this group has. Very tight-knit group. But ultimately, the records are nice, but the only record that matters is the wins and losses. And whatever we got to do to win this football game on Monday night, that's what we're striving for. And if that means we have to throw the ball a little more, if that means we run the ball a little more, we'll do what we got to do to win the football game.
Well, why don't you talk about the nose guard position a little bit and tell us how Big Flowers is doing? We've asked Coach Newberry and Coach Nehemiah, and they were both had good things to say, but it sounds like Michael has stepped up to the plate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We switched Mike over in the off season there, and he's been doing a really good job. He's actually one of the most improved guys in my room. Obviously, he had good size, but the thing is, he moves really well for his size, and he's been working on his footwork and his hands, and he's done a really nice job. Has a great attitude. Always looking to try to find ways to get better. And thus far, it's been a joy watching him grow.
Well, I think we've talked about Michael in the past, and his issue was consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's a little too early in the game to determine whether we're going to see that in the game. But are you seeing signs in practice of better consistency out of Michael?
Yeah, he's always flashed, and as of late, he's been able to take out on the field what we've been talking about, in our meetings and things. And there's certain things out of the nose guard position that our defense needs. And he's been, and thus far, he's been responding with those.
And I mean, Jackson obviously played the position at a high level. Those are hard shoes to fill. I mean, what do you tell Mike when you're talking to him about this, that, not try to be Jackson Pittman, just be Mike Flowers and try to be the best he can?
Yeah, exactly. And just like you said, like you can never replace a Jackson Pittman with all the experience and all the snaps that he's had. What you do with the guy who's going to fill his shoes is you want to just continue to develop him and make sure that he's comfortable within his own athletic ability and the way he prepares, for a game, and the way he prepares for practice, and his thought process, and all those things got to be of his own, and being comfortable. So really right now, we've got a system. I've got a system with him on the way he go about, watching film, always starting with his footwork, always starting with his pad level, and always, the minute details on, where his hands are being placed, on the offensive lineman. All those things will dictate the success that he's going to have playing in the trenches. Man, it's tight spaces in there, and you don't have a lot of room for error. And so he's being more detail oriented, in that fashion. And the same way Jackson was, and that's why I'm developing Mike to do.
So, Stace, what did we decide we're going to nickname Fosi, or what are we calling him? What's the easiest way to refer to him?
Seo?
Seo, yeah, right.
Seo. That's the end of his name.
How's he coming along? And is he the backup, I'm going to presume?
Seo's coming along. He's coming along, and he got his feet wet a little bit last season. Was in for a couple snaps. He's going to play. He works very well in tight spaces. And he has that attitude where he wants to be good. All right, and he's willing to do what he has to do to get to the level that we need him at. But you'll see a lot of CO here this season.
And I am correct that you work with the defensive tackles, right?
I do. I have the nose guard and the defensive tackle. Yes, sir.
Well, Perkins, how's he adjusting to that position? I mean, he flipped over from end, and we talked to him a little bit about the differences in technique, and he says he's on the edge of the guard, kind of like it's just a little bit different technique. But how's Perkins adjusting to the tackle position?
He's adjusting very well. He's taken on the role, and he just ran with it. And the thing about Perk is, there's two things about Perk. Number one, he's tough. All right, and number two, he's very intelligent. You tell him one thing in the meeting room, he's going to go out on the football field and he's going to get it done. He has a ton of experience. He's a senior, he's a captain. He brings great length into the position. Last year we wasn't able to bat as many balls as I would like. With Perk in there with his length, hopefully he can get his paw on a couple balls. He has a motor that just doesn't stop. And he's just a blue-collar guy that's going to bring his lunch pail to practice and into the games week in and week out.
So who would we say is backing up Perkins?
We have, right now, a guy like Deandre Williams, who's a swing guy for us. We also have Toby Okafor, who's in there, who has played in some games last year and is doing very well. Toby has he's changed his body around a little bit. He's slimmed down. He's moving a lot better. He's using his hands a lot better, and he has a better understanding of his role and his job within our defensive team. Deandre Williams is a guy. He's a little more compact inside, but he's very powerful. So he's able to go up against the bigger guys that's down on the inside. He's smart, so he's able to learn both positions. So, got some depth there at the defensive tackle position with Toby and Deandre Williams.
All right, that's good for me. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. No problem, Wags.
Bill Bergman, you have anything?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned tough and intelligence. Yesterday, Jackson mentioned his positive attitude. What you notice about his attitude in practice, and do you think that's a characteristic of his?
His attitude is the same. I mean, he's well. First, he's always going to say yes, sir. He's always going to get it. He's going to look you right in the eye. All right. He's going to get you instruction, and he's going to go out and he's going to imply that out on the football field. He's going to be the guy if things are kind of dragging a little bit. He's going to be the guy to get the guys going, and it's going to start with defensive line, and the defensive line's energy pours into the rest of the guys on defense. He's the catalyst to all of that. You know, like I said before, you know, with his motor never stops. You look on the catapult and the GPS, you know, he's the guy who's always the same, you know, with his athletic ability and things like that. So he's the same guy. He's never too high. He's never too low. He's going to bring the same energy and he's going to bring the same emotion out on the practice field every day.
And he's making the switch from DN to D tackle. What is it about former DNs playing D tackle? What is it that coaches like about switching those players to that position?
Well, it's kind of almost interchangeable, really. The defensive end and the defensive tackle, when you look at what we ask them to do, you look at the different blocking schemes that they get from opposing offenses, you know, it's really almost the same and it's almost identical. So you can switch those guys in and out, you know, like a puzzle, you know. So almost the same type of body, you know, body type, you know. So that's pretty much the difference between the defensive end and the defensive tackle. There's not a lot, you know. There's not a lot. So and that's how we're able to switch. You know, guys like Jay and guys like Perk, you know, both great players, and both guys who can get in there and get the job done. And it's proven. They've done it before. They're proven guys.
Thank you.
Wags, any follow-ups?
Well, I guess, you know, with the defensive line, especially your interior guys that you work with, you know, physicality is always important and being able to hold up, and you have not been able to hit as much as you would normally. Is any concerns as far as that's concerned, you know, with just maintaining pad level and being able to hold up to the physicality? If we're not really getting pounded in practice, you can't tell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I will say this, you know, as a defensive line coach, I always go into the game. You're always going to have, you know, that kind of uncertainty, you know, that nervous energy on what's going to happen. But all we can do is prepare the best way that we can. And the drills that we've been doing in practice, with the sled, under the chute, we've been hitting bags and those things. And when we do those things at a very, very high level. And with that, you know, leads me to believe that we've done all we can, and that when it's time to play, our guys will be ready to go from the preparation that they've had through camp and in practice.